Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that her husband would take her more seriously if she didn't dress like she did? My 26 female sister Anna, 24 female, married my friend Lance, 27 male. He was the cool guy in our friend group. Handsome, mysterious, smart, quiet. I don't know how he ended up with my sister. She's the total opposite. Loud, funny, outgoing. She's beautiful, though. Really beautiful. And when they got together, everyone said how good they looked. Anna seemed to be really in love with him all the time. She used to say how dreamy he was, how good he treated her, and how spoiled she felt. But Lance was always so stern and quiet. She would revolve around him at family gatherings, but he wouldn't engage that much with everyone but me and her. I was surprised when he asked her to marry him. My sister never took the wifey role too seriously. She had a non-traditional wedding, and Lance went along with it. She made a bunch of rules that he agreed to, and then they moved to his house. Anna banned house utensils from the wedding gift list. She doesn't work, didn't finish her studies, and they don't plan on having kids. My sister is pretty much only into her looks, and I didn't think Lance cared for that before. She's always on Snapchat and Instagram. I thought that after getting married, she would dress more appropriate since she used to use crop tops, blouses, dresses, and shirts that showed her cleavage. Short skirts or tight jeans, but she says that Lance likes her just fine. Last week was my dad's birthday, and we had a party. My sister and Lance came, and she was wearing a pretty short floral dress. Nonetheless, most of the men were looking at her, including my dad's friends. Lance was as stoic as always, and my sister came to my mom and I, and saying that she didn't know why he was so quiet since he's not like that. He is like that. What the hell? So I told her that if she didn't dress like that, he might take her more seriously. She got sad and sat quietly the rest of the night, and I didn't think that much of that. But a few days ago, Lance texted me and said that he would appreciate it if I didn't comment on her wife's way of dressing again. Did I miss something? I'm not in love with him. Does anybody else think it's just her that's projecting her anxieties onto the sister? They've been together for quite a while. He hasn't said anything about the way she dresses before. Why would he care now? He has been stoic. I think it's only now that she's just kind of realizing how he's acting when they're out in public. I don't think it's the dresses, and kind of the a-hole. Nothing's really changed. I think until anybody wants to speak up or Lance wants to speak up, just let it go. Story 2. Not qualified for the promotion? Then I'll just do my job. A few years ago, I worked for a furniture store in the back store. My job consisted of unloading and loading trucks, assembling furniture, and placing it on the main floor of the store. After around 6 months there, my supervisor announced he resigned, meaning his post was up for grabs. I had all the technical requirements, so I applied, but they gave the job to another one of my colleagues who had more experience, which was totally reasonable. After maybe 1 year, my then supervisor just stopped coming into work for no reason. He just decided he had enough and just left. No 2-week notice or nothing. So when the director tried to get to him, I took over the role of supervisor. I was the one with the most experience, which means that combined with my regular work, I was now the one telling people what to do, when, doing the schedule, and all the paperwork for the shipment. 3 weeks later, my colleague was officially fired by my director. In those 3 weeks, I kept doing the job of supervisor, and doing it pretty well, so I thought that the promotion would come to me. But my director did nothing. I went to see him, explained what I had been doing, and asked if I got the promotion too, which he answered that I was not qualified, not smart enough to do the job. After some thinking, I just decided that if I was not smart enough to do the job, then I shouldn't do it. So I went back to doing my regular job, and I also started looking for something else. 4 to 5 days after I stopped filling in, my director came to see me in the back store asking why the frack the job isn't being done. After all, without me to organize it, nothing was getting out of the store to be delivered to the client. I just reminded him of our previous meeting, and he told me, "Yeah, I remember that. What I meant was you're not qualified to get the pay bonus for the job. You still have to do the job, you idiot." I have to admit, I still wonder how he thought that would work. Still a bit dumbfounded, I just told him that if I wasn't going to get paid for it, I certainly won't do the job, and that considering we're already short-staffed, with my old supervisor gone, he should be a bit more polite. Apparently, this was an unreasonable request, a total lack of respect to him and worthy of firing me. Still don't get how this would fix anything. But hey, he's the boss. I packed everything and left knowing that the back store, which needed 5 people to operate, was now down to 3, with the most experienced worker having a total of 4 months. It only took my boss 1 day to call me back and tell me maybe he went overboard and that perhaps we could arrange something for the promotion. To which I replied that I would not be coming back since I had a few interviews lined up. I hung up while he was still cursing at me. After a few months at my new job, I heard some surprising news. The store had closed down after 2 other backstore employees resigned. Gotta admit that it felt good to see my old boss finally get what he deserved. Have you ever had a boss like this that just felt more like a bully than anything? They need you just as much as you need the job. It's stories like this that have been repeating on this channel, and it just explains the same thing over and over again. Know your worth and know to stand up for yourself, basically. Story 3. My 29 female, husband 32 male, served me with divorce papers last night and has been cheating on me our whole 10-year relationship. So basically, like the title says, my husband has been cheating on me for our whole relationship of 10 plus years and served me with divorce papers during quarantine. He wants me out of the apartment by next Friday, but I'm too embarrassed to tell my family. In my culture, no one gets a divorce, and I don't know where to start. I know I need to get a lawyer, but I'm completely confused and blindsided right now, and would like advice before contacting a lawyer so I don't look as clueless as I am. He's being completely irrational and doesn't want me to have anything. Not the furniture in the house, the food in the fridge, or our dog. I'm hoping someone can help me out with the most important things below. First, we don't have a prenup. I met him when I was 19 and he had opened up his first restaurant in the city. I really thought we'd grow old together. I know, stupid of me not to cover my butt, but I was with him for so long that I really got comfortable and couldn't imagine him doing this. We bought a condo in New York and most of it was paid for by me and my family, but it's in his name. I'm scared of losing the house since my parents and I put so much into it, but I also can't afford to keep the house on my own for more than a few months unless I ask my parents for help, which I'm embarrassed to ask for. Can his infidelity help me out here? Second, he bought me a car for my birthday just last year and is telling me I have to leave the car with him, so I have no way of moving any of my stuff out and would put myself at great risk of getting COVID-19. Is he allowed to do this? Third, I am a co-signer on 2 of the small loans that he has on his restaurants. I'm also invested in them, and they're a great second source of income, even in these times. How will the judge or whoever ultimately makes the decision determine whether or not I can keep one of the restaurants or still collect revenue from them? Again, no prenup, and my husband was unfaithful. I'd love to hear your advice. Any bit helps right now. Sorry that you have to go through this. It's awful, but get all the proof you can, all the documents together. And yeah, it's going to be embarrassing, but you're going to have to bite the bullet. It's either going to be embarrassed with your family or you're just going to be out of everything. It just sounds like he is just really trying to just push you out of the picture. And that's not fair. Again, can't give you legal advice, but just bite the bullet and tell your parents what's happening. I mean, have a feeling they're going to be on your side, especially if they've been helping you out with finances. You're definitely owed something. And if you know that he's been cheating on you for the whole relationship, get all the proof you can. Lawyers like proof. Story 4. Ex-girlfriend tried to cheat, so I permanently scarred her emotionally by not taking her to prom. I was always a grade-focused student and missed out on a lot of high school experiences, like having a girlfriend. My senior year, I loosened up and started dating. Eventually, I met a foreign transfer student who shared common interest with me, and she became my girlfriend after a month of casual dates. Because she grew up mostly outside the U.S., she dreamed of going to a real prom. I was stoked to take her and make her dream come true. However, a few weeks before the dance, I found out through friends that she was texting another guy asking if he was down to hook up. She didn't know I tutored this guy before and we were friendly. Once he found out I was her boyfriend, he showed me her text and told me nothing happened. I wasn't angry with him, but I was livid with her and played it off like I knew nothing. She excitedly bought her dress and made appointments to get her hair and makeup done, and kept talking about plans for the dance. The day of prom, I texted her that I knew about her attempts to cheat and that we were done. I went with a close female friend who knew the situation and needed a date. We had a great time and made awesome memories. My ex never got to go to her senior prom because she couldn't get another date last minute, and it scarred her emotionally and mentally because she not only got labeled a cheater at our high school, but her dream never came true. Years later, friends tell me she's still extremely bitter about missing out on the epitome of high school dances. I feel no guilt. I don't know how much of a scar this is. I mean, it would be pretty crazy for someone to fixate on not going to their high school dance the rest of their lives. And granted, I don't know this person, but she did try to cheat on you. I don't really say that I would blame you for your actions. You guys didn't do anything either, but it's not the worst thing. She probably would get over it. I mean, I never went to my senior high school dance. Kind of sucks, but oh well. Story 5. Am I the a-hole for saying my wife will have to quit her job if we get booted from another daycare? My wife and I have a 3-year-old daughter, Alexis. Both of us work, and Alexis has attended daycare since she was 1. In the 2 years since, we've been asked to leave 2 programs because my wife is a micromanager. I admit both of us went into the first program not really understanding daycare. I quickly learned that they can't provide personalized care, and after learning from her teachers, I reset my expectations. My wife, however, has a lot of anxiety and worries about our daughter. She hates it when she gets even a little upset. She's in therapy and working on it. First program, my wife would constantly watch the live feed and call the daycare multiple times a day. We had several talks about it, and the school talked to us twice. My wife ended up screaming at one of the teachers and then the director. We were terminated immediately. Second daycare was a little bit better because my wife began therapy. But my wife was still so nervous and had a complaint every single day. These were not important things. Small things, like she saw another child take a toy from Alexis and she would cry. The teacher would give the toy back to Alexis, but my wife didn't understand why the other child wasn't punished for it. This daycare didn't kick us out, but did eventually suggest that this may not be the best program for us. My wife and I decided to pull Alexis out. My wife, because of her anxiety, myself, because I knew my wife had burned bridges and was becoming one of those moms. We chose a smaller home daycare this time, and we couldn't afford another center. The woman who owns it is very nice, but also firm. She stands by her boundaries and won't let my wife break any rules, whereas the centers were definitely more accommodating. My wife would take any inch she got. This time, she doesn't get that opportunity. I thought all was well, as the owner only speaks to my wife for the most part. Then, I get put in a group text saying my wife has been bombarding the owner with text every day, despite the owner saying she will text her at lunch when things are settled. She said at this point she will only be responding at specific times of the day and not looking at the rest. The owner then sent several pages of the contract with passages highlighted, reminding us of certain policies my wife had violated. I was ticked. When Alexis went to bed that night, my wife and I talked. I said, this was our last option for daycare. The other centers are too expensive, and this was the only home daycare in the area that we like. A nanny is not in our budget. My wife made a million excuses, including that it's not her fault, she's anxious. I said, if we are asked to leave this program too, my wife will be the one quitting her job to watch Alexis, not me. This upset my wife. I pointed out I've spoken to her kindly about this plenty of times. I encourage her to keep up her therapy, but she can't keep getting us kicked out of programs. My wife is now not speaking to me. Am I the a-hole? Sounds like you've given her every opportunity she could. This is not really getting to her. I think it would just have to be, unfortunately, probably the point where Alexis does get kicked out of this facility, and this woman is going to have to face, unfortunately, quitting her job to look after the kid to realize what she's done. I think it's just that simple. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you've talked, and she's in therapy, and you've given her every opportunity.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 6. Not pay me for the website I built? Say goodbye to your business, house, and reputation. This happened in the early 2000s. I used to be a freelance front-end dev and a search engine optimization guru. Back then, getting on the front page of Google was pretty simple. Link exchanging was popular but risky. I never did that, but I did have a single website that had serious PageRank clout due to it being linked as a trusted source, directly from one of the top and most trusted websites in the world. I would use this website for the best clients to get their PageRank and search engine position, leapfrogging other older and more trusted websites. One day, I was approached by someone I will call Bob. Now, Bob sold travel packages. He needed to revamp his basic existing website with a complex website built with pretty tricky back-end coding. I could do the front end, but I had to hire a back-end dev to build the functionality. Bob had a major launch in a month's time, and it had to be ready. I usually ask for 25% deposit up front, but Bob said no. He was stung by the last dev and wasn't going to lose any more money. Now, from the moment I met Bob, my gut was telling me this was going to end badly. The problem was I needed the money, and it was worth quite a lot of money for me and the dev. I skipped the deposit on the promise he paid in full before it went on his server. Bob agreed. For an entire month, we worked day and sometimes all night to get this done in his time frame. With a day to spare, we had done it, and I'd never been so proud of what we had achieved. I was honestly excited to show Bob. The next day, I sent the link to my test server, and he phoned me to discuss it. Bob said everything looked good, but he was worried his server's PHP version may be too old to run it. I assured him it would, but he said he was too scared it won't, and we would scrub our hands of it. We went backwards and forwards, but he was insistent the site had to be uploaded and tested on his server before he parts with a penny. I chatted to my dev. He didn't like it either, but agreed we would upload our work onto his server. Bob gave me the FTP details and server login, and I uploaded the site. I told him it was live, and then nothing. I sent several emails and then phone calls. The emails went unanswered, and the phone went to voicemail. Sensing a major problem, I rushed to my computer, fired up my FTP program to delete our work on his server, and access denied. He had locked us out, and the following day, he went live with our work. For several days, I tried phoning until one morning he answered the phone and said, "Listen, I'm not ever going to pay you, and there's nothing you can do about it." Then Bob hung up. Rage was a good word for my feelings. I was shaking while I still held the phone in my hand. For the next hour, my range of expletives was growing in complexity. As I sat there figuring out what to do, it hit me. Revenge will be mine. I registered a new domain name, which was Bob's travel domain name, plus sucks at the end. If Bob's website was called Bob's Travel, I had purchased Bob's Travel Sucks. I uploaded our work, basically an exact mirror of his live website, onto my new domain. I used my all-powerful mega page rank domain to link to my new Sucks domain. Within a month, my website jumped above his website in Google for every conceivable search phrase you would use for the packages he sold. No matter what you typed in, my site was the first result, and his was always below mine. During that month, I created a second website, which was Bob's full name with sucks at the end. On this second website, I posted what happened, screenshots of his emails, and warning everyone what a con man he is. Bob had a somewhat unusual first and last name. Again, within a month, my website was above his own personal website. I then forgot all about it. About 4 months later, I got a cease and desist email from a solicitor's firm. A quick Google showed the solicitor's firm was made up and didn't exist. I replied back with, "I'm not ever going to take them down, and there's nothing you can do about it." Every now and then, I'd get emails from people he had conned by taking their money for a travel package, but never booking their package. I put those on both of my websites, making sure those juicy, important keywords, his full name and company name, were spread across each negative review. A few more months pass, and I get an anonymous email linking to a new domain called My Name Sucks. I'm told to remove my two websites, and he will remove this one. A quick search, and what do you know? It isn't even on Google. No one could find it. I replied back for a second time with his comment to me. As each month passes, I'm getting more and more people emailing me saying they've been ripped off. I keep adding them to my website. Turns out the travel agency world is well regulated, and they started an investigation into Bob's company using my website as their main tool. I got a call from Bob. Bob is not a happy Bob. In fact, Bob is more of a desperate Bob. Looking at this text now, I know you can almost hear the despair and resentment in Bob's voice. Bob pleads and literally begs me to pull the sites down. Not only is he being investigated by the Travel Agency Association, but he had some very important friends that didn't appreciate the bad press he was causing in their circles. He offered to pay me the money he owed. Nothing more, just what he owed. For the third time, and with a massive smile on my face, I say, listen, I'm not ever taking them down, and there is nothing you can do about it. Roll on a few months, and I discover his travel company has been removed from all travel associations. No matter what you typed in Google, my website outranked him, and all the bad reviews on my site were the first thing his potential customers would see. I crippled his business so badly it went bust. During the collapse, one of his ex-employees contacted me and told me how hard he had worked to get my websites off the first page. He had registered dozens and dozens of other domains in the hopes someone would jump ahead. Little did he know, only the top dozen websites in the world could jump it. Apparently, his property was tied into loans on the failing business, and he lost his house too. It took me just about a year to turn his business from a cash cow to an unalive cow. Motto of the story? If you ever think to mess with a dev, don't. Updates. Thank you. Thank you for the awards. Many of you are saying I should have taken the money and not pulled the sites down. At that point, it wasn't about the money. He thought he could simply buy his way out of it after pretending to be a solicitor and then trying the same thing on me. Him knowing I didn't care about the money anymore must have driven him crazy because money was all he cared about. He then knew he could do nothing to stop his business going down the pan, and all he could do was watch it fall apart around him. Oh, man. Well, what's more powerful than someone who only cares about money? Someone who only cares about principles. In this case, principles, and has the power to do something about it. I don't know if I've heard this story before. It does sound familiar, but yeah. What is it with people who try to really come down on the people that are providing services for them? These people are providing services for you. They can come back around and bite you in the butt very hard. Maybe not as hard as this person in all circumstances, but still.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.